In today's Leeds news, Joseph ACL recovery, Trafford and Perri latest, Julian Brandt path clear for Leeds, Espie emerges as a Leeds option, Harrison speaks on his Leeds career, and rumour mill story on Petr Sučić. Tuesday, the 28th of July at the Leeds View. Ger here with your news. We do these Monday to Friday, as well as a transfer update at the weekend and 2 podcasts a week. We're a part of Sport Social's podcasting network, and if you want to support the channel, you can do so. Best way to do it is by liking and subscribing to the channel. Also, the Leeds home kit's available. If you're thinking about buying it, there's a link down below for that, and also on our social media channels, as well as in the post section of YouTube. Hope you're all having a really good day and your week's going well for you so far. There's a lot of stuff to get stuck into today. Massive thanks to everyone who joined us on last night's live stream to talk about James Trafford and who subscribed to the channel a huge amount in the last couple of days. Again, really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. If you want to support us in the FCA Awards, the link is directly down below in this, and we'll link it again towards the back end of the week. It closes in about a week's time. Right, let's get stuck into this because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll start off with Matteo Joseph and his recovery from his ACL. Matteo Joseph has been posting pictures on his recovery and the work he's doing on his ACL injury, which is taking place in Mallorca. There's been a lot of speculation around what Matteo Joseph's future looks like at Leeds United. There's even been some loose rumours in the Spanish media about clubs being interested in buying him this summer, but it is unlikely that he'll be going anywhere for a while, as he won't be taking part in any kind of football-related activity for a couple of months yet. For those who don't know, in April, Joseph suffered an ACL tear after a fairly disappointing loan. The positive side of his loan was he got plenty of minutes at Mallorca and was used on a regular basis. The downside of it was he didn't exactly get the goal and assist output you would have wanted. Only 2 goals and 3 assists coming in 30 games in all competitions. To be fair to him, he didn't exactly play as a central striker all the time. He was in the wide areas far more often than he was through the middle, but still didn't get the assists from those areas that you would have wanted to see. However, Mallorca didn't have an option to buy the player, so he has returned to Leeds, at least in principle. He has stayed in Mallorca to do his recovery, but he has gotten all of his Leeds kit, at the very least sent him. You would imagine he came to Leeds for an assessment first before going back off to do his individual recovery with his team in Mallorca. Yesterday, he posted pictures on his Instagram account on his recovery. He looks like he's in really good shape. He's put on a bit of bulk as well. And the caption read, "Small improvements these last few weeks are starting to turn into big changes we continue to build." Now, there isn't any kind of a return date for Matteo Joseph to get back into footballing action. The normal recovery for a professional footballer with an ACL tear, depending on the severity of it, is 6 to 8 months before they're back on the grass doing contact training, and then likely 9 to 12 months if all goes well and they don't pick up any secondary injuries like calf strains, groin strains, and that kind of stuff from being out of football for a while. And all, of course, depends obviously on the extent of that tear as well. So he's not expected back for a while yet. He's got 2 years left on his Leeds United deal. He'll likely miss the bulk of this coming season with this injury and his recovery. And then Leeds will have a very big decision to make when I'm heading into the final year of his contract. So, yeah, I think we all know what this is probably going to lead to down the road. But we'll see. Let's move on. So last night we got the confirmation of James Trafford's move to Leeds United had been agreed. And this morning there is a clearer picture on what the detail actually involves and the structure of it. The core number we got last night was £14 million. It was also believed to be £5 million worth of add-ons in this, according to the Mail Sports' Simon Jones, who has always tended to have his finger relatively on the pulse when it comes to Leeds United. Questions around the sell-on clause have popped up over the course of the last week as well. It was believed to be part of the negotiations, but we didn't hear anything about it last night. But that has now also been reported on by Jones. As a separate part of Simon Jones's report, it says it's further stated that there is a sell-on clause believed to be in this deal, as Manchester City want future financial security over this sale, like Manchester City need any kind of future financial security. Anyway, there's no release clause, which is a good news. So at the very minimum, it's a sell-on clause, so it won't be activated unless a certain number is hit. Leeds' hands won't be forced in this unless a magic number is hit. So there's a positive there at the very least. Leeds are treating this as a long-term signing and something that they want to build a team around players like James Trafford and the younger profile of players they're starting to bring into the club. Trafford is also described as being very keen to get going at Elland Road. There's some reports over the last few hours that saying he could even fly back into Leeds this week in order to get his medical done and sign his contract and get the final bits and pieces done, the media work, before he then flies back out on his holidays for his 3-week mandated break after a World Cup exit by FIFA. So, as was said last night on the live stream by a couple of people, and thanks for the detail, roughly around August 9th before he'll be available. Not sure if he can cut that short himself or if he wants to, and what happens there. That then brings us to Lucas Perri and what happens with him and the domino effect. Gianluca Di Marzio has updated everyone on this, and as I say, the expected dominoes have started to fall. Di Marzio reported that Torino are ready to close out the deal on Lucas Perri now, with the club expected to move quickly on this now that Leeds United have secured the services of James Trafford. The structure, as we talked about before, is believed to be a loan with an option to buy, hopefully to get his valuation back up after a good season, and then Leeds will probably look at selling him at the end of the year. We don't have a great track record with options to buy. That's probably very safe to say. So you never know with these, do you? It's not clear on whether James Trafford comes in and Perri leaves straight away, or do Leeds hang on to Perri till Trafford comes in, or how that's going to work, or do Leeds go with the likes of Darlan Bang, Rory Mahadi and Alex Cairns and see how that one goes. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Apparently, well, as has been said, everything's agreed on Lucas Perri's side as well. So that one's getting close to being wrapped up as well. Let's move on. So a bit of a significant update on the possible signing number 4 for Leeds United. Joe Donoghue, formerly of the YP, now of 442 magazine, has the clearest version of what the Julian Brandt situation is looking like. According to his report, Leeds have moved a step closer to landing Julian Brandt, with the club considered now front runners for Brandt's signature and the player open to a move to the Premier League. That hasn't really changed in the last couple of days. The key detail in Donoghue's piece is about Ajax specifically and their involvement in this. There was a huge amount of talk over the weekend and into this week that Ajax were seriously involved. They put a 2-year contract potentially in front of Julian Brandt, but it is now believed that they may have spent a huge chunk of their wage bill on bringing in Wolverhampton Wanderers striker Tolo Arokadara on loan. Now, it is a loan, but they are taking 100% of his wages onto their books. And Donoghue believes that Arokadara's full wages would see them massively reduced in their spending power for Julian Brandt. The team talk have also weighed in on this situation. They're reporting that Leeds are growing in confidence, and there are strong reports that Leeds United are getting closer and closer to getting a deal done for Julian Brandt. According to Team Talk, Ajax are now said to be unable to match Leeds' financial offer, and AS Roma are also believed to have fallen out of the race to sign Julian Brandt. Now, the signing of James Trafford would likely help Leeds United in this situation. If Brandt is looking for an exciting project and a team pushing forward, all he's got to do is look at Leeds' summer business this year already and say, yeah, that's a club going in the right direction. Harry Wilson, Tariq and James Trafford are very, very strong and statement signings by the club. Brandt would be another one of those. As with Trafford, the faster this moves for Leeds United, the better. It will stop other clubs getting involved in this, which, until you're in a Leeds United shirt, there's always that fear in the back of your head that someone's going to jump in and try and hijack one. But again, they can get it done. Fantastic signing. Positive talk, if nothing else. And definitely no visible movement just yet, but positive so far. Let's move on. So not a huge amount to go on this one. Limited enough information. But according to Graham Smith yesterday, in a very small note on a tweet, Leeds United have Carlos Espie on their list of strikers that they like, but he falls very much into that bracket of Leeds admire, but aren't really doing anything about it, at least just yet. No bid, no movement imminent, just interest in the player. Now, there's not much being said in Spain about this. There's not much being said in the UK about this, and I can't tell you a huge amount about Carlos Espie. I don't watch an awful lot of Levante, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. What I can give you is the information that's out there on him, and then we all need to go and start watching loads of Levante games from last season to get a bit of a look at him. He's 6'4" in height, 21 years of age, does match the Leeds bigger player profile and that key line that's been used all summer of Leeds looking to bring in a younger striker. In terms of footballing ability, last season he scored 13 goals in La Liga in 27 games in a side with Levante who finished 16th, just 2 places above the relegation zone, level on points with Real Mallorca, who did go down. So a fantastic return rate for a club competing at the bottom end of the table. He's described as very physical, fairly mobile, aggressive target man who is very instinctive in the penalty area. If you look at his heat maps, and again, that's all I can go on, he seems to focus a lot of his time in and around the penalty spot in the 6-yard area, which is very much poacher target man territory. I suppose the only fair comparison, and it's not even completely fair, is Matteo Joseph, who played with him in La Liga last season. Not with him in the team, but with him in the league. Joseph played 30 games last year. Espie played 27. Joseph played more minutes with 1,722, where Espie played 1,449. Matteo Joseph's XG was 5.10. Espie's was 7.58. Joseph got 2 goals. Espie got 13. But as I say, they did play in different scenarios last season. Joseph covered an awful lot more of the attacking areas, where Espie seems to be very much focused on that central striking area. So it's not an apples for apples comparison, but gives you an idea what the potential of the player is. But as of right now, it is just interest. There's nothing formal in this. No move been made just yet. We will see how this goes. Leeds look like they're trying to box off other targets before they start to move on to this one. But again, he's over 6 foot in height, and he's in the younger model bracket that Leeds said they'd be looking for. We'll move on. For Jack Harrison's exit before we get into the final story in the rumour mill. Safe to say the past 3 years of Jack Harrison's contracted time at Leeds United haven't exactly been plain sailing. But that being said, he has spoken very fondly of his time at Leeds United, the club and the fans in his goodbye post on Instagram. Jack completed his permanent exit to New England Revolution of what's been labelled as a nominal fee, or as Leeds have labelled it, undisclosed fee, which we kind of have to get used to with Leeds United transfer fees, I think. But he did take the Instagram to say goodbye to the Leeds United fan base and talk about his career at Leeds, and he said the following: "It's hard to put into words what Leeds United has meant to me. When I arrived in 2018, I joined a club with an incredible history and supporters who demand everything from the players who wore that shirt. I could never have imagined the journey we were about to go on together. Leeds became my home and gave me memories that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Some of the greatest moments of my career came in Leeds colours, and the last couple of years haven't been straightforward. Going out on loan wasn't an easy decision, and I understand that many supporters found it difficult to accept, but football sometimes takes you in unexpected directions. One thing that never changed was my respect for Leeds United. I've always wanted this club to succeed, and seeing Leeds back where it belongs in the Premier League makes me very proud. Leeds United isn't just another club to me. It's helped shape me as a footballer and as a person, and gave me memories and connections I'll cherish forever." He finished off by saying he'd like to thank the fans for his time at the club. He'll look back with immense pride over what was achieved and his time at Leeds United, and signed off with a thank you and a marching on together. It is safe to say the last couple of years weren't straightforward for Jack Harrison. His mum's comments being picked up on camera when he was in his first season. Everton definitely didn't help the situation at all. Not that he could do anything about that. But there were some positives. Jack Harrison's time at Leeds, his performances in the promotion season, his performances in the first year back in the Premier League. Pillowfoot will always be a fond memory as well. His goals against Brentford, or his goal against Brentford that kept us in the Premier League along with Rafinha, as well as his goals against West Ham United. Sad how it ended, but unfortunately sometimes it does end that way, and it has ended that way. Best of luck to Jack at the New England Revolution. Let's move on. So we get into the rumour mill now, and Petr Sučić has popped up. Leeds were said to have moved on from Shea Charles and we're looking at other targets in that position, and one of the rumoured names that has now popped up is a move for Inter Milan's 22-year-old Croatian central midfielder, Petr Sučić. Now, Corella della Sport are the ones that have this piece out this morning. They say that Sučić has caught the eye of Newcastle United and Leeds United, and Leeds, after a very impressive season at Inter Milan and a very impressive World Cup with Croatia. Now, Leeds and Newcastle are being labelled as two clubs that have inquired about the player. Nothing more than that. They have sussed out whether the player will be interested in a move, whether Inter Milan will be open to a sale of the player. He's valued between £29 million and £34 million, so it would still be a significant chunk of change this summer. He joined Inter back in 2025. He played 34 league games last season, 10 in the Champions League, so plenty of experience for a relatively young player as well. And he scored against Arsenal in the group stages, so can do it against the Premier League side. However, the big crease in this one is Inter Milan have no interest in selling him, and the player is not necessarily looking for a route out of Milan right now. They basically said they've got complete faith in the player and they're not looking at selling him this year. So at the very minimum, interest, nothing more than that at this moment in time. But at least it shows that Leeds are potentially looking at decent calibre options in that midfield area and possibly upgrading Leeds midfield as they move into the start of the season. I think the pre-season friendlies will give us a decent indication of what that midfield is going to start to look like and what needs to be done in it. Anyway, that'll be it for me today, folks. Massive thanks, as always, for watching the channel and supporting us. If you want to like and subscribe, you can. If you want to check out The FCA award link is down below. Yesterday's live stream and podcast on SCR are available over on the side as well. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Bye.